Doflamingo and Imu get compared a lot because of Kid Doflamingo having his top commanders bowing down to him the same way that Imu had the Gorosei bowing down to him. But to me, this was just foreshadowing how Oda has had these two not only run into each other but also work together. And I know Doflamingo is a polarizing character. Fans put him as the greatest villain in One Piece for all his heinous crimes and his charisma, but he also gets disrespected for his power scaling, where some would even argue Cracker, who just got mollywathed by Aokiji, is stronger than him because Cracker was sent out by Big Mom after Doflamingo's defeat to Luffy. And why would she send a weaker character to stop Luffy? Plus, Cracker damaged Gear 4th, and to keep it real, this is all just BS slander Doflamingo, who was fighting Law, Luffy, and Gear 4th Luffy twice while having the birdcage up and took on a King Kong gun clash straight up, which reminded me of Kaido carrying Onigashima and taking the Bajrin gun straight up. So Doflamingo's stats are awakening and all 3 types of Haki, so his power scaling shouldn't be questioned. I still scale Doflamingo to King and Queen level, but that's another argument for another day. All I have to say is Oda really wants to make Doflamingo one of the most important characters in the entire series, and Imu is the key to do that. Doflamingo is introduced relatively early in the One Piece story, especially with him being a post-time skip villain, but it's no surprise since the arc he was introduced in was Blackbeard's introduction as well. And the Gorosei are introduced right before Doflamingo, and they are speaking about Red Hair, who also is a former Celestial Dragon pirate, and lastly Crocodile is being mentioned by the Gorosei, current Yonko crew cross guild top commander. Many people believe Doflamingo will join this group ever since he asked Crocodile to be his right hand during Marine 4 incidences, where Oda really put a lot of thought into Doflamingo's character pertaining to the end of One Piece, which is the route I'm gonna go since Oda literally foreshadowed Nika in the next arc known as Skypiea. Side note, Doflamingo is also highlighted with Kuma, who was a big part of the Egghead Island arc, and Nika lore being a buccaneer, and Miak, who is a major reason why Buggy is a Yonko and the 3rd highest pirate bounty in the current story. Now, Marineford has had some cool moments with Doflamingo, like for example him cutting Oz Jr.'s leg off, especially after Elbaf explained the ancient giant race, and the mural having one fought against Imu from the Void Century. But the Doflamingo speech to me stands out because of what I connect it to. Pirates are evil, the Marines are justice. These labels have been passed around heaven knows how many times. Kids who have never known peace and kids who have never known war, their values are too different. Whoever stands at the top can define right and wrong as they see fit. Right now we stand in neutral territory. Justice will prevail? Well, sure it will. Whoever prevails is justice. Not only is this one of the greatest speeches in One Piece, it tells me that Doflamingo is also explaining the 1st and 2nd war while also foreshadowing the 3rd war as well at the same damn time. Or am I just looking too deep into things? Then there's Doflamingo getting rid of Moria, and we could look at Moria maybe having ancient giant ties with his horns, just like there is speculation with Kaido's Moria's former rival. Moria also brought ancient giant Oz back to life with Luffy's shadow, which has connections to the Void Century. But the real plot point here is that Moria is asking Doflamingo was it Sengoku who ordered to kill him, and Doflamingo says much higher up. This is obviously referring to either the Gorosei or even higher with Norona Imu, but I will touch upon that more in this video. I got more interested in this Moria plotline when Doflamingo was in the Holy Land Mariejois meeting what seemed to be a CP0 member, and they got into a argument on Doflamingo doing his job right. This all happened because Moria used Absalom to disappear with his invisible Dove Fruit ability, and Doflamingo telling that Top Shot CP0 member that he's not his superior. But all I seen here were 2 things. One, Doflamingo was most likely speaking on Holy Knights or Imu being his actual superior. Secondly, Moria's Dove Fruit is more scary than we think. Looks like the final saga might have some 4th Ninja War vibes with a past legendary figure joining the battle as a zombie. I also have to mention how Law questioned how Doflamingo, a fallen Celestial Dragon, was still able to have CP0 help him out, and he reveals to Law since he was confident he was going to die in Dressrosa, Doflamingo tells Law that he knows about a crucial treasure in Mariejois, and Doflamingo also states just the knowledge of this crucial weapon could shake the world to its foundations, and right away I know it's an ancient weapon, but not Poseidon that of course is Shirahoshi on Fishman Island, and not Pluton that is under Wano, so it has to be, and excuse my language, Uranus. Yes, that's the ancient weapon that Doflamingo obviously is talking about, that Imu used after Wano destroyed Lucia with the help of Mother Flame, that has been foreshadowed on both the Enel mural and the Nika mural mural and Imu serpent mural that we saw in chapter 1138. To me, this confirms Doflamingo having knowledge on Imu's existence as well. Just think of how Saturn was replaced by Garling. It seemed Imu doesn't shy away from being in contact with strong celestial dragons behind the Gorsei's back. Just look at Shamrock using the magic circle to enter Elbaf. In chapter 699, when Aokiji is confronting Doflamingo, we see Imu in his sunglasses, which is very spooky since Imu wasn't revealed at this point in the story. It would take 200 more chapters for us to see Imu. Honestly, this could mean a bunch of things. The obvious is Doflamingo's ties to Imu, but there's also the fact Imu's introduction has a lot of ice and the huge straw hat, and now Aokiji's working with Blackbird, who is going to be both Luffy and Imu's endgame adversary. But all in all, Oda's a madman for this little detail of Imu and Aokiji's sunglasses staring at Doflamingo, and you're trying to tell me that Doflamingo isn't bigger in the final game picture. Akainu presses the Gorosei for having Doflamingo finesse a system about his fake leaving the Warlord system and assumes it's from higher up, and the only higher up Akainu should know is the Holy Knight, whose commander is Figurine Garling, who made a name for himself on God Valley. But now that he is a Gorosei, it looks like Doflamingo's connection goes even higher to the head honcho Imu. Akainu is so confused how Doflamingo could bend the world to his will, something only Imu should be capable of, and Akainu hits the nail in the coffin on the Celestial Dragon puppet CP0 going right over the Gorosei heads as they serve directly under Imu. But now we know this doesn't mean that Imu doesn't have others doing his bidding as he sits on the empty throne, not just over the Gorosei, but over all Celestial Dragons. At the end of Dressrosa, when Luffy was about to end Doflamingo's career with this Gear 4th, Doflamingo stated a sky battle is what Luffy definitely doesn't want, with honestly reminding me of Skypiea, which is foreshadowing Luffy's Nika form and overall Void Sentry lore. Plus, Doflamingo does have a similar personality to NL, as they both think they are bigger than the program, or some would call a god complex. Doflamingo goes deeper with his disgust for Luffy, getting mad at him being above Doflamingo when of course they were battling in the sky, and saying he's not like you humans. Honestly, it looked like Doflamingo was going into his true Celestial Dragon bag. What can I say? Doflamingo's final attack is 16 holy bullets God Thread. When Imu destroyed the Lucia Kingdom, it was 16 blasted shots on the island. Law then gets a flashback after this situation happens of Coruscant, Doflamingo's own blood brother, explaining the enemies of the Celestial Dragons are the people known as the D, and this battle in my opinion is just foreshadowing Luffy versus Imu, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. We see Doflamingo after his defeat to Luffy speaking to Suru, who was chasing him before he became a warlord with special privileges. Doflamingo told her he was holding the reins to all the monsters and warned the world of the mistake of taking him down. Now at the time I just assumed he was speaking on the strongest creature alive, Kaido, who top guys were King, Queen, Jack, and the wildcard Joker being Doflamingo. But now in hindsight, it has to be Imu who he's referring to. Just like Whitebeard said Shank's face made his scar ache, we all thought it was Roger, but in hindsight we know it's probably Garling on God Valley. It's crazy because Suru countered Doflamingo by telling him who cares about what if. The reality of the matter is you lost, and I saw this as two things: Doflamingo being a man who constantly thinks of different possibilities that are connected to the past, and her also foreshadowing the third world from the Harley text. Suru then asked Doflamingo what happens in the world of pirates now, and he begins his second legendary speech. What do you think happens to monsters when they've lost their food and the leash is gone? Is there anyone standing atop this sea now? Who rules the stretch of water? Is it one of the 4 emperors of the sea? Perhaps the 7 warlords who use their trickery to get by? Maybe those brats in the worst generation? But then there's the force of justice. The Marines reign supreme, and the Revolutionary Army. The will of the people is stocked with fighters to be reckoned with, and the people of the deep who have smoldered away beneath the currents of history. When will they show themselves, and where? Who will aid whom? Who will betray whom? You tell those Celestial Dragons in Mariejois you will be dragged from your lofty perch. It's been 25 years since Gold Roger became the first man to conquer the Grand Line. His rival Whitebeard sat before the throne but never upon it. What about now? The number of pirates have swelled, but there's still just 1 seat sitting empty. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is going to kick off the greatest battle for the power in the history of pirate kind. In this speech, we can clearly see Doflamingo speak about each pirate group, the Revolutionary Army and the Marines, but specifically exclude out the CP0 Holy Knights and Imu, his true ties that cannot be severed, or else his life will be on the line. Doflamingo then warns the Celestial Dragons, or should I say Imu, of the new pirate king going after him, and this could also be connecting rocks trying to become king of the world and Imu sitting on that empty throne. So Doflamingo truly is one of the most tapped in characters and still has a role in the final saga. Though he's not on the iconic panel in chapter 1121, I also love how he asks Tsuru for a newspaper so he can stay tapped in on how everything turns out. I also believe Doflamingo's ties were confirmed by him having a solitary cell so he could be protected from the assassins coming from above, probably the Holy Knights, just how Shamrock and Gunko arrived in Elbaf. Doflamingo says the assassin is to make sure he doesn't leak Mariejois' secrets, as we see Imu in the same panel. I also believe Doflamingo might actually go against Imu because of these assassins constantly trying to silence him for good. This could be foreshadowed by Mosford evil self switching sides and turning good. Imagine seeing Doflamingo die trying to help Luffy in the final war. Man, that would just be crazy to see as a One Piece fan. Oda also made sure to highlight Doflamingo's reaction to Imu using the ancient weapon, causing sea levels to rise 1 meter, having him taunt Magellan, protecting the inmates while the whole prison might get flooded. Doflamingo also suggests them evacuating and going much higher up, the same thing he told Moria when asked where he got his orders from. This is Oda planning a Doflamingo Imu meeting for sure, where Imu will have to humble Doflamingo for standing up to the king of the world, and Doflamingo might even try to trick Imu by acting like he still serves him but actually betraying him. Now, another main reason why I believe Doflamingo might have closer ties to Imu than we all think is chapter 1138. In the mural, if you go below Imu's dragon or monster form, his mythical Delphu form, we'll see 6 people on the boat. 5 seemingly look like the Gorosei, and a 6th is falling from the ship. Many people believe this is Lily, who of course is a Will D member, but some might say this could be foreshadowing Doflamingo being that fallen celestial member who actually goes against Imu in the future. Who knows, maybe I'm just reading into things, but I thought I'd throw something at the wall. Now, one of the main reasons why I believe Doflamingo and Imu is not even a question why these guys know each other is Doflamingo wanting Law to do the immortal surgery on him. Now, of course, Blackbeard also wanted Law to do it too as well, but we know Blackbeard's a historian and we know he's special, confirmed by Saturn. But Doflamingo wanting the immortal surgery means to me what Ivankov said to Sabo, that Nerona Imu was a name from the Void Century. So Nerona Imu most likely had the immortal surgery done on him, and Doflamingo seeing this thought to himself, the only way I can surpass this character and actually sit on the throne like Stelly wanted to sit on the throne during the Reverie is by having immortal surgery done on me as well. Doflamingo has always been trying to become king. That's why Doflamingo will always be a prominent character, because his goals were so lofty. His goals are arguably bigger than Luffy, because Luffy doesn't even want to become king of the world. Doflamingo is one of those characters that can have Akainu, Kaido, and everyone else mad at him, but the one character he should not have angered is Imu. And with him planning his escape, expect Doflamingo to be made an example by Imu, as Figureland Garling said this about one of Doflamingo's relatives, Mossguard, helping humans. He says, it makes you lower than scum, and whether it be joining Cross Guild with his good old pal Crocodile or helping out his rival Luffy, he will definitely need to be punished by Imu for his actions, but I believe he will be a huge help before his death and be remembered as one of the most iconic characters in the One Piece history. Because if I'm just keeping it real with you guys, Doflamingo is already one of the most iconic characters in One Piece history, and debate that in the comment section if you disagree.